Hello. Today we'll be discussing how to stay productive in a uni flat because I know that was number one what I struggled in first year is also about the way you approach stuff. So let's get into it. Number one, stick to a routine. I personally find this really hard because my timetable. So I don't know whether it's the case for a lot of unis. I can only speak on my experience really. But my timetable was a bit all over the place. So say on a Monday, I would have a lecture 11, then like a 3 hour break, and then a tutorial. And it was just like what you doing on those 3 hours. Like it's either stay on campus or go back to the flat, which the flat is close by, but once you're in the flat, you know you're not going to go out again. So that's a hard thing. But then you also have days where you're fully on campus from like 9 to 6. So it's hard to kind of stick to a routine, particularly for those different variety of days. But it's the routine once you step into the house that is really important. So my number one thing was put everything down and reset my laptop onto my desk. So at least my bag was empty, even though that I knew I was going to pack it again tomorrow. Like just have it on the desk ready because if you're going to do some coursework, some homework assignments, at least it's out there. You're not digging through your bag. So reset my desk with all the stuff that I would need, and then I would go sort my food out first. And by that point, you know you're sort of already in the mood. You've got everything started. So once you're eating and you've come back to your room, or even if you're eating inside your room, which was my case a lot of the times, then you know as soon as you're finished eating, you can move on to your assignments or just onto relaxation. So stick to a routine of the set things that you do as soon as you enter the flat because that really sets the mood. Number two would be use a to-do list, but have your priority list. So I had a Notion template in first year, which really just highlighted quite a good to-do list. I can see if I can put a snippet in. But basically, it's just your to-do list, but then the top three would be your priority list. And then there's just a line scored underneath it. But those are the top three things that you need to do immediately or that are pressing. It can even just be quick things that you know are going to get you in the mood to do the rest of your to-do list, but have those three priority things. So for me, sometimes it would be break down topics of coursework, or even it would just be look at coursework spec. That's at least one thing that you know is going to get you in the mood to follow the rest of your steps. Or even if it was, say, a reset day, my number one priority would be reset the bed, because that's just your main focus, and then you know that everything else can follow afterwards. And number three, which I think is really important because you kind of lose yourself in the flat environment a lot of times, and it's very easy to do that because the walls aren't exactly going to be very thick in any of these accommodations, so you get a lot of noise from the kitchen, and you know when things are going on or when conversations are happening that you're kind of like, I don't want to be left out, or oh, there's a lot of people in the kitchen, let me go figure out what to do. So what I would do is for sure know on one day I would set that day off as just having that day for flight experiences. So writing off a day for friendships, conversations, whatever. And I'm not saying complete day, I'm not saying go to your lectures or anything, but it would be the evening times. So for us, it would be Wednesday because that was technically the day that everyone was going out. So there's a lot of interactions and things happening in the kitchen at that point. So even just going in to cook your meal and take a little bit longer, you know, your flatmates are walking in and out and you're still getting the almost human interaction that you needed in uni, especially within that flat dynamic. And that's how I sort of just prioritized and made sure that even on days where I'm thinking I need to lock in, but there's stuff going in, at least I know on a Wednesday I'm still having interactions with the rest of my flatmates. But that's not saying that I'm avoiding them the rest of the week, because even when you're in the kitchen grabbing water, there might be another flatmate there or someone walks in. You can still have those conversations, but at least know there's one day that it doesn't matter if you don't get a lot of things done because you're still having those key interactions that is needed in university. Number four, which I guess is a little producty, but I think is actually really good just in general uni life, and something I will constantly harp on about is headphones. Having headphones is honestly a life changer. I live by my headphones. I love my headphones. They're my headphones. Like, it's just really good as well for out and about. No one really wants to listen to background noises, I feel. Or maybe it's just me. I don't like listening to background noises. But also, since the uni environment, the flat environment can also be a bit noisy from even your flatmates and then also the neighboring flats as well. So having headphones when you know you're trying to be in focus or study mode, it's just good to completely lock yourself in. You don't even have to be playing music. I find sometimes I just put my headphones on and I find myself tuning out the background noises. But yeah. And number 5, which is kind of the reason why I started my channel in the first place, but you can find yourself being a lot more productive by just recording yourself, recording the entire process. I find that way you're even off your phone. If it's a time lapse is what I do majority of the time because I know I'm doing my Pomodoro time settings. So just having a time lapse of that, knowing that my phone is out the way, I know if I'm going to interrupt it, then I'm stopping my video as well as stopping Flora, which I have running in the background. But it's just a way to have your phone doing something else that you kind of feel, if I go onto my phone to distract myself, then I'm also distracting this other thing that I have going on, which for me would be my videos. And since I touched into this a bit, is I would find an app that makes you not want to go on your app. I know people use screen time a lot, but for me, I find that so easy to override since I know the password. I would just go in and say, give me an extra 10 minutes or just turn off screen time for today. But having something like Flora, especially when you've got it with other people as well, can be something that is even competitive or something that you just don't want to turn off because the trees are good. Flora or Forest. I'm pretty sure there's several other apps as well that work the same way, but I use Flora in first year with my flatmate. Second year, I just use it for myself, and now that I'm back home, I use it with my brother. So it's just something that you can keep track of and know exactly how much time you spent. Especially like you see a lot of videos where people are like, oh, I spent 6 hours studying. How do you know? My thing is I think they have Flora so they can see how many hours they've logged in a day and for that week as well. Well, that's all for me. Hope you enjoyed. And as always, rock on.